100,000 people may be different in many ways, but there's one thing that brings them all together: the Green Bay Packers. In Titletown, the blue-collar city only knows hard work, tailgating, championships, but more importantly, they know family.
We have a saying in this town: faith, family, and the Green Bay Packers are all that you need. Sanjay and I grew up in Green Bay. You could say that we are Green Bay, or even better, the voices of Green Bay. We bring a local feel of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience.
Friendship, family, and football.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is the Freezer Podcast. What is up? We are back. This is the Freezer Podcast, where we bring you a local feel of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience. I am Sanjay, and alongside me, like always, is Fred and Matt. And we are live here in our home studios, brought to you by Game On Wisconsin. And boys, it is a Victory Tuesday. Didn't think I was going to be saying that. I got to eat a lot of crow. I had us losing this game. You two idiots had us winning the game because you guys are homers. And well, it kind of. Well, I thought Stafford was playing, so don't do this.
Okay,
Don't. No. We'll talk all about it.
Here's the real question:
Do your
Did you
research.
place money on the Rams?
Ooh, yes, Sanjay, please
Did
indulge us.
you bet
I
against
had a
the Packers?
$5 parlay with them. Yes, I did. I did
Okay,
not actually
all right.
bit like
I just
put
had to
big
make
money.
sure.
This week I had big money on the Steelers, but I did not put big money on the.
You damn right you do.
I did. I mean, we haven't won in Pittsburgh since I don't even know. Like
This
the
man's
80s.
making money off the Packers' misery. I hope everybody understands that.
Yeah.
It's a
He's just
win-win, bro.
capitalizing.
If we lose, I win. If
Yeah,
we win,
next
if we
week-
lose, I win.
Yeah, next week just come back. I will put his address and we can start sending hate mail.
Yeah.
You know what? Fine. Send the hate mail. You know what? I got to put food on the table. You know, that's what I.
Okay.
Providing
Yeah,
for the
we
family. That's all he's doing. Providing for the family. Don't question it.
we are here on a Victory Tuesday. It is good to be on the winning column again. I'm not, regardless of the bets and whatever the jokes, it is nice to see the Packers get a victory. You never want to hope for losses or hope. I mean, I don't know where we're at in this situation as far as, are we tanking? Are we
We'll
trying to get
find out.
a top 5 pick, or are we trying to win and try to maybe sneak in the playoff? I really don't know what this team is going to do, because Fred texted us earlier and he's like, do you see the schedule after this? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And it's not great. It's not great at all. So I don't know what the path is. I know no team, like actual sensible team, is ever going to be like, yeah, we're tanking, but at the same time too, I really don't know, because we had such high hopes for this team to begin the year, and we're like, oh, they could not easily, but we could definitely see them sneaking into the playoffs, hell, even potentially winning the division, because we thought this roster had everything in place, and maybe the Jordan Love era would be pretty good because he sat behind Rodgers, he's learned, he's really, soaked in everything he possibly could from 12. And now it's just the keys have been given to him, and maybe LaFleur's offense would just be perfect. But here we are, week 9 or whatever it is, and we don't know, if he can really run the offense well, if it's the young players running into each other all the time. Fred, I want to get your thoughts though, because before we dive into the game, what do you really want moving forward? Because during the game, I'm kind of like, do we want to win this game? I mean, at this point, I'm like, do we just want to just kind of get this next, get a really good tackle in the draft, or hell, if it's Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't know. I doubt it. Every time we think we're going to get this awesome receiver.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
I don't want to go down the Matt Jensen route, but I know that the tackle is
Why
obviously
not?
very.
We're where we're at because of
Okay,
that.
but
if
you know
you
what
guys
this-
listen to me, we wouldn't be here.
You've been waiting for 10 years for a receiver, and it's still not happened. So you can keep
Maybe this
staying on
year.
that boat by yourself.
All right.
But
All
Fred, what do you want? What do you really truly want from this team?
It's a very good question. I want us to be a winning team, right? I think we all
Right, yeah.
genuinely want that. I think it's obscene if we don't think that. But when you watch what's happening on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, whatever day it is, you can clearly see that this team is just not quite there, right? There's too many mistakes, too many penalties, miscues. Coaches look frazzled and razzled. The only good kind of bright light in this whole situation to me is the defense, who continues to perform even though they've lost players, right? Quay Walker was out. Defense still played really good, I thought. Rasul Douglas being out, obviously being traded. I still thought they played really well. We're not letting up a lot of points. So there's that bright side. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those weird things where you want them to win, but if you're not gonna win, then maybe don't win at all, and that'd be great, and we can get a top 5 pick. Green Bay is gonna do what they do, right? We're gonna probably win 7 games and end up with like the 17th overall pick, and it's gonna be just that weird middle of the draft where we can't do anything, right? Trading back is too costly, trading up is way too costly. So I mean, it's just one of those things. I think we're gonna get stuck in that middle. That being said, this win doesn't change any thought process of what I'm thinking of this team at all. All it really confirmed was that we are just ridiculously young, ridiculously immature, ridiculously undercoached, and ridiculously undisciplined on every single level possible. And you see it, right? We see the penalties. We see LaFleur now swearing and screaming on the sideline, where he's usually been a pretty cool-headed guy about most things. And it just feels like there's a lot of that. And for the most part, I want to take that and go, we're terrible. We're the worst team ever. We suck. We're whatever. But you have to draw back a little bit again and just think to ourselves, first full year of Love, first full year of starting. I know he's been there. A lot of young guys, very rotational offensive line. The only thing that's been consistent with the starters is defense, and we're seeing progression with the defense. The offense is just so chaotic right now. The coaching is not there. Offensive line is crazy. We've got these issues where Dylan's running, but then Jones comes back and he's okay, but he's not okay, but now he's playing. A lot of tight end weirdness. Looks like, LaFleur maybe was vanilla calling a lot of these early games. So there's just a lot there to it. So ultimately, to answer your question, I want to win. But if we're not going to win, right, and we're just going to be whatever, then I don't care as much about the draft spot. I just want to see that we're progressing so that by next year, I know we at least have the guys on the roster that we want. If we go through this year and Love just continues to get worse, it scares me because I think a lot of the team is pretty good. But if all of a sudden now we have to look at, we got to find are we going to do the quarterback carousel like we've seen so many teams, especially in the NFC North, do for 30, 40, 50 years? I don't ever want to be that team. I want to be a team that has at least, and he doesn't have to be Hall of Fame. He just has to be a good, serviceable quarterback, and I'm waiting for Jordan Love to become that guy.
So, Matt, I have a question for you then. Do you think this is the team then? And do you think this is the quarterback? Because that does pose the question, regardless of what we finish up at, if we could somehow win another 4 or 5 games, make a good run, and maybe we're on the outside looking in as far as the playoffs. We don't make the playoffs. Or, we don't win too many more games. Maybe we win another 1 or 2, maybe 3, and we're still probably a top 10 team. Is Jordan Love's
top 10 team in the draft or in
top 10? Yeah, sorry, top 10 team in the draft.
Thank you.
Is Jordan Love's performance then this season, as Brian Gutekunst has come out publicly and said, we're not sure. We have to, we're not sure if he's in the long-term solution. But his contract stated that, though,
the next 10 games are super important.
Right. I mean, they didn't pay him like he was going to be long-term either, So
absolutely.
Go ahead.
We're not locked in with him, which is really nice.
Yeah. So basically I need to see a lot more from Jordan Love. And I think that this year you can obviously hear the argument and make the argument that it's been difficult to grade him. And I think for the most part, that's been true, but I personally, not how you guys thought, but I thought this last week against the Rams was probably the best shot we had at actually evaluating him, because he wasn't under pressure the entire time. It wasn't like there was Max Crosby harassing the shit out of him up front. He was able, but I thought we contained Aaron Donald pretty well. They haven't had a good plans for him.
But why we couldn't contain Max Crosby though? I think Aaron Donald's better than Max Crosby.
But I thought this was the cleanest week we could have graded him, and I just came away not overly impressed. I think he made some better throws. I think he made some better decisions. Hell, his stat line looks a hell of a lot better. I think he was 20 of 26. But what does concern me is just the lack of the deep ball isn't there whatsoever. I mean, they're ugly.
So bad.
And I mean ugly. They're hanging in the air. They're short. They're all over the place. You can make whatever.
He's getting his receivers killed out there.
But they're pretty brutal. And right now, one of the biggest issues with the offense is they cannot get a chunk play whatsoever. And part of that is because he can't throw a deep ball to save himself. And I really thought that would have improved over the course of the year. I mean, we're into November.
It's
now,
literally
deep in
week
November.
1, wasn't
I
it?
mean, this isn't like, oh,
Aaron Jones
this
screenplay?
is he's 3 years learning on the sidelines, and now he's playing. And like, where's the deep ball? I mean, he's completely neutralized. Christian Watson's a non-factor in this offense because they can't throw the ball deep. Now they could do a better job of maybe figuring out how to get the ball into his hands, but that's kind of what he's here for, is to be a deep threat. And if you can, he's open, he gets past the guy, and the ball just hangs in the air. So I just think that these next, and Goody said it himself, these are really important games to look at. And that is one thing I have to see, because if he can't hit the deep ball, I'm sorry, you can't stick around then. You got to be able to hit chunk plays.
But here's my thought process. We're what, year 4, right? Love's been on this team for 4 years, correct?
Yeah.
You're telling me in those 4 years,
I don't count year 1. I don't count year 1 though.
No. But practices, scrimmages, anything.
That's what I'm saying.
For
Don't
4
count year
years,
1. That was COVID.
Right, but for 4, okay, fine. For 3 years, and all the reps, the work that he's taken, we've never seen that he can't control the deep ball. He can't figure out the deep ball. Like, and the problem is, and honestly,
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Well,
I thought I lost my head. I thought I lost.
I was like, shit.
We're just we'll let him get his stuff back. Yeah, Matt, I think I know where he was going to go with it, but like, I do think at some point this offense really has to understand: are they going to be, is this system, that Matt LaFleur is running, is it actually working? But then you see all these, some guys are open some weeks, and then some guys are just running into each other. They're running the wrong routes. Well, I mean, I know this whole offense is predicated on the offensive line giving them at least more than 3 seconds to, throw the ball. But that's in its own problems. But I mean, I thought the offensive line actually played pretty well this week.
I thought they did too,
compared to the other weeks. But
Yep.
I do think here's the thing: you had Aaron Donald, fine. But now you go against TJ Watt. So
yeah,
that guy's better than Max Crosby and whoever we play against in the Denver game. So
that's a good point, man. Because I think we'll talk about the Steeler game, but that's going to be a really good litmus test, because that's a good defense right there.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. I thought even we've played some pretty mediocre defenses. I think they all had maybe one strong player, Patrick Surtain on the Denver Broncos. Obviously we had Max Crosby against, Las Vegas. And now you've had the who did we play right after the Raiders? Why am I blanking on this? I feel like I should have known this.
That was, I believe it was,
Vikings. Sorry, Vikings. My gosh,
Vikings.
I forgot about the Vikings.
I said the Lions. Yeah.
Yeah, that was before everybody. All right, Fred's back. So yeah, I do think you're right. The litmus test would be obviously the Steelers team that is a well-rounded defense, especially if Minkah Fitzpatrick plays. But Fred, why don't you go ahead and finish your thought there?
Well, just to quickly touch on Pittsburgh, I mean, the outside has been a problem with us. TJ Watt's going to murder every single.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
he's going to get that set. He's going to get that record. Hey, how's that though? Fitting. Oh, it's not in Wisconsin. It's in Pittsburgh. Never mind. But anyway, Wisconsin kid gets his favorite team. Maybe that's kind of
But here's the thing: is that I feel like our receivers are getting good separation. They're getting whatever. I mean, obviously the catching is a big deal, but on a lot of these plays, Watson is burning past these corners.
Yes.
The problem is that what Love's problem here is that he is dropping back. He's hesitant on making that initial first throw and that first read. He wants to cover his reads, and then he waits, and that half a second, millisecond, whatever that might be, it's allowing then for Watson to get outside of his passing range. Well, right? Which is clearly there. So what he needs to do is that within that first second and a half of where Watson is getting that first step or two on him, he needs to be able to put something on a rope, first of all, not floater. He needs to rope it in there and then let him go and run with it, as opposed to I'm going to wait, until I compared it a lot to like my kids, football team. Like the quarterback on his football team waits until the route is complete, then throws the ball.
You got to anticipate it.
That's not how you do it. You got to throw the ball in midst of the route. And I think that's his biggest thing. And I think that's young, right? I know we talk about 3-4 years, but it's him being just confident of the fact of if you see that, hit it right away. Don't look over here, then come back.
He's been a pro for 4 years. To me, it's this is just who you are at this point. And I think LaFleur critiqued him in the last couple off seasons, saying he's got to rip that thing. He's got to let that thing go. The best way I could describe it is his deep balls feel like they have zero urgency to them. They're just kind of just.
Yes.
But then he
you know
air
what I
mails
mean? It's
Luke
like-
Musgrave
it's-
though, man. Like
yeah.
he has weird times where he just launches
Yeah.
and you're like, what? That looked like it was
Yeah.
about to go out of the stadium.
And we used to critique Rodgers. Oh, he can't figure out, Watson's speed or whatever. But it's like, well, at least give him a shot to go chase it down. He's got that speed. And remember, the guy who's defending him, he probably also runs a 4.2 or 4.3. So it's not like he's just got some slow guy that can't catch up to a lazy
But most
pass.
guys
So-
are not going to keep up with Christian Watson, though. We've seen. I
No.
mean, quarterbacks are not all.
and that's why he's
4.2,
got to just
4.3
rip
speed.
it,
Like,
let him go.
right. But we've also seen Christian Watson track down balls, and it's pretty dog shit too. Like he's really not that good of a route runner. Yes, if he could just run straight, that would be great. But even then, it's like him tracking the ball. He's always like I don't know if it's his big ass afro or not, but like I don't understand why he can never just see the ball coming in. I'm not a receiver, so I have no idea how.
But you're right. You're 100% right. He does not catch the ball. He does not go up to the high point. He does not go up and get a ball. He sits back. He falls back. He tries to wait for the ball to get to him. And that's a huge issue. The other thing is we talk about him being such a deep threat, right? Like Matt, you said that's his job, or that's his role, basically, in some words.
Probably, yeah.
That's a problem to me. Like, we drafted this guy in the second round, and all he is an MVS like type guy. Like,
well,
no,
and
if
that's what
you're
people
drafting
call them coming out, and he better not be.
for sure. But like, if you're going to draft somebody, but if you're going to draft somebody at that point, I need someone who has a full route tree, who's able to make the hard catches over the middle, and who doesn't get hurt every freaking play.
Well,
I'd rather have
touch
Cooper
man.
Kupp, where you can
remember.
just,
Remember he took that slant against the Eagles last year, 50 yards for a touchdown. I was like, where's that? Why aren't we getting that?
That's
pass
the other
going?
thing. Why are we not running him across the middle, slants?
Yeah.
Like it's only
He's a
like,
huge
we're only talking
body.
about Niners on him.
I want to ask you guys this because when I've also noticed this too, I feel like Jordan Love throws the deep ball when he shouldn't throw the deep ball, and he has guys lower, like obviously a little bit closer that are open.
Rodgers syndrome.
Yeah, like I've always thought this too. It's like it seems like when he should throw the deep ball, he doesn't do it. When he does throw the deep ball, there's like guys wide open in the flat, or like obviously, maybe 10 or 20 yards down the field, more so than the 40, 50 that he chucks it up into like triple coverage. I've just noticed that all of his picks, minus maybe like a couple of the tips or like the ones that a guy just, takes it away from Jaden Reed, they've been dog crap. Like the throws are just like, what are you looking at? And I'm just confused that, does this guy actually have the vision that we want? Because that's really what's going to make or break us keeping him. Because if he can't see the field correctly, get him out of there. Honestly, I'd rather just have Sean Clifford in there, and then maybe he slings it.
Look at
but are we
CJ
also
Stroud, by the way, just throwing for like 500 yards almost.
Yeah,
come
bro,
on.
that looks good.
And then the Texans, and people wrote them
Ohio
off before the
State.
season started.
Yeah,
well,
he's breaking that.
He's
CJ
ripping
Stroud
it right
would be
now.
the
He's
best
breaking that
Ohio
record.
State quarterback ever. I would be.
I know.
shocked.
It might
Here's the
be.
thing, is
They also gave him better receivers.
That's true. But here's the thing with Love is I just feel like he's so apprehensive about doing stuff. And I don't think that you've earned and or warranted that ability, right? Because you are on year 3. Yeah. You're in the point now where you should, like, we can't use the classic rule or the classic excuse, if you will, for like a rookie quarterback, right? Like, oh, the speed's just a little bit different. He's got to get acclimated to the speed, or oh, he's got to figure out this, or he's got to just feel comfortable in the pocket. Bro, you've been there for 3 years.
Right, but he hasn't played anybody in 3 years. He's only done like 2 games.
My problem is the Packers,
he's had live practices against other teams.
Yeah,
he's had practices against his own team with Rashawn Gary, Jair Alexander, and a bunch of other really good talent. So, like, I'm not saying that should
Deshaun Watson doesn't need 10 games to figure it out.
No, just
not
10
Deshaun Watson.
But,
I mean CJ Stroud. Wrong. Not even close.
Okay, Kyle Allen. Oh yeah. I just feel like there's a small fraction of me that wants to I'll say sympathize with what Love's doing, and understanding that we do have to have a little bit of timetable here. We have to understand that there's going to be some,
I think 10 games is enough.
Ups and
honestly,
downs. But
10 games is enough for me.
10 games is kind of where I'm at too. And I feel like if we don't see this back end stretch, if there's not I'm not talking little progression. I just need little progression. If there's not that, then we are 100% have to consider like this is not it. and we got to make a move, which thankfully we don't have a lot of equity put into him. We can easily make that move. It's not going to like change everything, but I got to see something, and I'm not seeing anything. And I sure as hell didn't see anything necessarily against the Rams, who are not the Rams of 4 years ago.
Yeah, that was dog. I'm not going to take that game as too much of a high hope thing.
But
I want to ask you a question,
everyone's like the Bears and the Rams. We beat. It's like
so who cares?
Fox Valley Tech,
like some of the worst teams in the league.
For example, then maybe Fred, you can answer this one. So my example would be Justin Herbert, right?
Yeah.
You've seen where the trajectory was for him, right? And then you saw him progress. Now they're winning and losing. I don't think that really dictates who he is as a quarterback, but at least you saw growth. Josh Allen, you're seeing growth. He does throw a shit ton of picks, but you see that he can do a lot with his legs, and he does have the capability of driving down the field, getting you a win for a victory, right?
Winner, 100%.
Lamar Jackson, he has one tool, right? I mean, he showed us that he could throw the ball too, but his main tool is probably his legs, right? And he's shown that he is a little bit more competent with his arm. What does Jordan Love have that you're seeing moving as a progression? Again, I know those are big name quarterbacks, but they all were at some point, in Jordan Love's, stages, right? So they all had to make some sort of progression. I don't even know what the progression would be. Hopefully in 10 games, I will find that and I will see, okay, where do I need to see? Because he needs a deep ball. We haven't seen an accurate deep ball from him. His escapability, I feel like sometimes he does it, and then there's a lot of times he just takes that sack.
It's super underwhelming.
Yeah, like
super
underwhelming.
I thought he had something. Amanda looked at me when he ran the ball this on Sunday, and she was like, "That's how fast he is."
Well, he looks like he runs like half speed.
Yeah, he really does. He does. And he's like bigger than like Jalen Hurts. Like I'm pretty sure Jalen Hurts is smaller than him, and Jalen Hurts runs fine. So I just don't know what the.
No, I just don't think he's that guy, and I feel like that's where I was hoping that he was faster, because I thought, okay, maybe we can just lean on that.
Are you hearing it, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay. So, hey, Fred, your mic's a little
You sound like a robot.
You do sound a little robotic. So hang on one second, Fred. So Matt, then I will pose this real quick while he's figured that out. So what is the biggest thing that you want to see Jordan Love correct, or not correct, but like that gives you the thought of maybe keeping him and not drafting a quarterback next year? Sticking with him, what would you need to see in 10 games?
For me, it's consistency somewhere. Like, can you consistently, I don't know, generate third down conversions? Can you consistently hit some, short to medium range passes? Can you start to consistently hit some deep balls down the field? Like somewhere where you can rely on some part of his game that you can exploit and try to, parlay into the game plan. That's what you need to see. But right now, we're not seeing any of it. It's kind of like, we go multiple games in a row without really kind of seeing anything out of them in terms of like a pass or a series. We're like, okay, they did this or they did that well. So for me, that I maybe it's a basic answer, but I would just say just basic consistency somewhere as a starter. And I think once you've done that and you're hitting maybe some of those checkdowns more consistently, you're in the back of your 3-step drop and you're delivering the ball on time to somebody. Okay, then you got that down. Now graduate to try to figure out how to drive the ball down the field and get that going. But until then, I like you said, so he kind of picks some weird times to try to deliver the ball deep down the field, and it's just not worked out too well for him. So I would say that, just looking for something to glom onto, and if it's got to be, some part of his short passing game, so be it. But just somewhere where you can go, all right, he's got that down. Like, and what that is, I don't know. I don't know yet.
But this is what I was saying, and I'll go back to that veteran leadership on offense. And this is what I was saying at the beginning of the offseason was, should we have a veteran backup quarterback more so than Sean Clifford? Because there is nobody in that quarterback room, and I forget Tom Clements. I'm just whatever with him. Well, there's nobody in his ear letting him know the true aspects of, hey, I just threw this pick. What's my mental state? I mean, he seems like he's a pretty calm and collected kid. Like, it doesn't seem like the picks really, bother him. But at the same time, too, like there's no one really showing him like, hey, on the bench, like, hey, this is what I kind of saw on that throw. Like, what does Sean Clifford know? Like, Sean Clifford doesn't know shit. He's just like, hey, if you suck a little bit more, I might get in. That's literally all Sean Clifford really brings to the table. there's no one else in there that can kind of give him this,
No.
tutelage or sort of like knowledge of like, hey, I've seen a lot. I've been in it. Maybe I've never been the greatest quarterback, but I at least have seen a lot, and maybe I can help you in this sense. But
well, not only do you not have that at QB, you don't have it at wide receiver, you don't have it at tight end, you don't have it in multiple levels across your team. So I think that you can't talk about the Packers evaluation or Jordan Love without at least acknowledging the fact that they are a very young team. They've dealt with a lot of injuries this year, and it's a ton of inexperience across the board. That said, the Packers are in a position where they still have to understand or try to figure out what do they have in Jordan Love, no matter what the circumstances. And this has just made it more difficult for them to try to figure out what they have or don't have in him, because that is true. It's like, well, can you really give him a fair shake if he's throwing to a bunch of first and second year guys? But at the same time, it's also like, well, you've been in the league 3 years and you're kind of expected to come in and maybe elevate some of the guys around you. And we were all willing to give them some time and some space and some grace to figure that out. But as we're sitting here, as we creep into mid-November now, and we're kind of talking about the same issues that we're dealing with, early in September. I mean, to me, that's maybe part of the bigger picture then, and more of a concern that maybe people want to admit. But I don't envy being Brian Gutekunst trying to figure out like what's the next step, because if Jordan Love doesn't show much more, or maybe just incremental improvements, it's like, do you really want to go into next year, putting, all of your weight into him? Or are you like, hey man, I'm not really sure, we got to open this thing up? So that's why this next 2 months are going to be absolutely critical to figure out what they have in him.
Well, how much is coaching then?
Yeah.
Because I don't know,
Part of
man.
it
I think
too,
our
for sure.
coaching staff is like, maybe it's
Well,
actually not good.
I think coaching is a big deal too. I think the other thing, you always want to compare Roger to or it all worked out rookie seasons versus rookie seasons. Am I still
You're breaking up a little bit. Oh, now we don't hear you.
He'll get it right. We'll figure it out.
We'll-
Okay,
we'll
what was
figure
he? We'll keep her rolling, Fred. You
We
just
will.
figure it out.
Don't worry about it. So Matt, then the coaching is what I'm kind of just highlighting, is that we have guys like Jason Vrabel, we have Adam, whatever his name is, our offensive coordinator. Like, I don't know if some of these guys are truly like good enough, or are they teaching him the right things? Is Jordan Love being taught the right things by Tom Clements? Like, I know, yeah, Rodgers had Tom Clements like in his heyday, and like, Tom Clements was just like a reminder, refresher kind of coach for him late in his, career. Like, hey, I just need that confidence again. Like, what do you got for me? Like, you used to do like, maybe he was in his ear in a certain way that he liked. For Jordan Love, like, I don't know if he's got the right ears in his, the right voices in his ear, or even the receivers or the running back. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know if this is like kind of an evaluation for Matt LaFleur to see like, my staff might actually suck. Maybe I suck. I don't know. Like, I mean, Matt LaFleur. Go ahead, Brett. Yep.
Well, I just want to let me know if I sound like a reject or not, or a robot. But
You're
I think
good,
my
you're
point
good.
being was, okay, my point being where I was trying to go was what you were saying as well. And then what Keaton said too is when Rodgers came in, right? We always want to compare that to what Love is doing. When Rodgers came in, he had a veteran offensive line, a veteran group of wide receivers, a veteran running back, a veteran defense with Charles Woodson and Pickett, great receivers. So like, that's a big difference. And you obviously have that locker room stability. You have those guys that are there to maybe pump you up, maybe to help you go through those things. And you're right. When Love makes a crappy decision, a bad throw, he is the veteran technically that like they don't know. So like he has to be the one to find out what it is, dissect it, figure out what he can do with it, and then relay that to his rookie receivers, basically, which is such a taxing job on someone.
And what does Jordan
who's
Love
just
really
starting
know
this year?
with
Yeah, what is he
5
doing?
starts,
How does he?
7
What does he
starts?
have to say that? He goes to Grandpa Clements, and Clements is so old that like he's not even seen offenses like this. So like that is to me a huge deal. So it does concern me, and I wonder where the team is headed, because you have to make that decision, right? When Rodgers came in, young quarterback, veteran team. Now you have young.
So you think that was the wrong
extremely
choice
young
by
team.
Gutekunst? Going young
don't
team,
know.
hopefully they grow together. Like, that's a pretty big gamble.
But now that's the thing. So now I do like young guys to grow together. I do like young team salary cap wise, but here we are at a point where we want some veterans. Is it happening again?
No,
No,
I'm
just-
questioning this. Is this real? Are we going here? Is he
Who,
actually
this
better
guy?
than Love?
Is he?
Fields is better than Love? Is he? That's a really good question. I don't think Fields is good. I don't think he's but he has one thing that he is good at, and that is running. I don't know what Jordan Love is good at.
It's hard to argue the other way.
I don't. All right, go ahead, Matt. I know you're chomping at the bit.
Coaching wise, I think that what would benefit the Packers is when they reevaluate, no matter what happens this season, is to try to find some guys to bring in from outside the organization. I just feel like the Packers do such a poor job of bringing in different ideas and different things from around the league. They love to just promote from within. That's how they end up with offensive line coaches as offensive coordinators. That's how they end up with former running backs as wide receiver coaches. It's just like, can you guys stop? Can you just go get some guys who are well established, know what they're doing, and bring them in here and a different flow. I just think it would help them out tremendously, not only from an idea standpoint, but maybe just from respect from the players. I just think maybe different voices, like just someone different to hear from and talk to and spitball.
Do you like the ex-player coach?
I think they're relatable, and I think you're starting to look at the lines.
I mean, they got to
right
be
now,
good, right? You can't have I don't even know, just name one bad guy, like some practice guy that was never ever good. Like, you can't have him as a coach.
You're not gonna have Travis Jervey come coach us.
But look at the response by the Raiders for Antonio Pierce. A noticeable difference. So look at the Lions. The Lions coaching staff is riddled with former players. I just think that those guys can speak a different language maybe than some other people can do. I'm not saying your whole coaching staff should be that, but maybe you mix a few of those guys in. So I'll be curious to see in the offseason. We'll talk about it when we get there, but if they start to do some of that stuff.
But I agree 100%. And I've said this for a while. There's aspects of the way Green Bay does things that I like, and I appreciate, and I think there's a reason behind our success for that. That being said, the league, all leagues, NBA, NFL, NHL, MLS, whatever you want to call it, it is moving at light years, right? And in speed and everything that they do. And if you're not willing to change, I feel like the Packers, the way we are, we're going to turn into the Nebraska Cornhuskers, where we're this joke of a squad. And here's the thing: is
always felt that way. Look at their media,
right?
They don't even let their press go in.
For sure. And here's the other thing: is that so we'll touch on the Rasul Douglas thing real quick. We let Rasul Douglas go, right? We hear from players how devastated they are. They're crying. They're super upset about it. They're emotional. It goes back to a little bit about what Roger said and how the front office apparently treats players. We get that. Here's the thing. We can't keep doing that. It's not sufficient. It's not going to work because the Green Bay Packers are not a destination team. They never have been. They probably won't be. The only times they were when Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers were here. We've had that luxury. If that's
we still
gone,
didn't sign anybody.
We're screwed. And there's been a lot of times over the last few years that I've thought to myself, okay, well, this is different. We're in the 2020s. It's not the same. There's no way that a team goes through that big of a drought for that long. But then you can easily look at the Jets and the Giants and huge market teams that gone through it. There's a very good chance if we keep burning bridges and rubbing people the wrong way, players, if you will, rubbing players the wrong way and how we treat them, that when the time comes where we do have 90 million in cap space, nobody's going to come here because 1, we're not a good team. 2, it's Green Bay, Wisconsin. And 3, they know that we're going to treat them like shit. That can't be going on. We got to change that attitude or we're going to be into this way deeper than we've ever thought.
I just want to kind of touch on some fans' notes here because we got some fans asking some questions here.
We got some studs in the chat.
We do, yeah. Hey, okay, so I've always said this, and if we're going to be on this whole veteran thing, I always did say, I mean, first off, I said this last week, we should have kept a guy I wasn't here last week, sorry. I was saying that we should always have kept Devontae in some kind of capacity because he would have been a perfect situation for this young group, for a Jordan Love who can tell him hey, this is what I need. This is kind of what I'm seeing. Go ahead, Fred.
One real quick comment on that is Devontae Adams always attributed his success to the fact that he had guys like Randall Cobb, Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, who taught him how to be a pro, how to be a great receiver. And
practice
Driver
habits,
did it to Jennings, and Jennings did it to Cobb, and Cobb did it to Adams. And it's been a long roll, right, where we had all those great receivers, and it's been documented why they decided all of a sudden just be like, nah, we'll just figure it out. That's
Yeah.
concerning.
Because now you think of it, and it's like you look at teams like Carolina or Arizona who like want a veteran receiver, and I'm like, I think the Packers are probably in the same boat because I think there's something that can be taught to young individuals. It's just like us as dads, right? Like we're teaching our kids what we've seen, what we know. Like we were in high school sports or whatever it may be. Like, hey, this is what I've noticed. Obviously, you tweak it to your own when you feel right, but here's what I've seen, right? And like the same thing with players, they've seen a lot. That's the whole reason they've been successful. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, we never got to break down the Rasul trade, but like, I have a lot of beef with moving. There's 10 different ways you can explain the trade or make it make sense, this and that. But I believe the Packers have an unhealthy obsession with their draft picks. And I feel like it's cost them multiple players via trades or whatever over the years that they're just not willing to give up or ante up to somebody else. It's why they don't go up and get guys like Justin Jefferson. They let them go to the Vikings. It's why they don't pay the extra money for guys like Marshawn Lynch or Tony Gonzalez when they're trying to trade them to us. They just
I don't know about
they just can't give it up, and they're willing to part with somebody that's a locker room a glue guy who's well liked, well respected, one of the only guys that goes out there and busts his ass.
But you can't have it all though, Matt.
You need people like that, and I'm sorry, but it's like at some point it's like you need those guys in your locker room. You already have a lack of leadership. You already have a lack of experience in there. What are you leaning into? Oh, we had a 3rd round pick. Great, good for you. You can't even pick a 3rd round. Go look at his 3rd round picks, and that probably predates Gutekunst. I'm not saying you shouldn't stop picking in the 3rd round, but I just feel like that perpetuates the idea that the Packers have a disconnect between the front office and the locker room. It's like
but you can't have it both ways though. This locker room has always been great. There has never been an issue with the locker room because they got their own guys. They got the guys that they wanted in that locker room. Yeah, do they sprinkle in a couple of free agents that potentially they see like good? Like when have we ever heard any bull crap in Green Bay?
But see, this is the comment. Oh, the 3rd's too shiny. I need a 3rd. It's like what?
Right.
When does it end? Like when does it end? Where's the line? Where's the line?
Here's my thing.
You made money off of it.
Here's my thing.
So what?
29.
Ben Asted.
He's 29. He's going to be 30 next year, right? We're obviously going in a different direction. We're going with youth. I do understand all your comments because I do think you got rid of probably one of the only real leaders on that entire team necessarily. But if the direction is to grow a very young team, then that's the right move. Plus, and this, you're not going to like this, but the truth of the matter is he flipped a practice squad guy to a 3rd round draft pick. That's pretty freaking impressive. And it's not Gutekunst, it's Rasul and what he did, but that's a pretty good thing. And honestly, if you look at it from a player or a GM perspective to a player perspective, where I just got done saying how they don't care about the players, letting him go to like trading him to a Bills team, a contender, is actually kind of like a, hey, we
giving
love
him a way
you.
to
We
get a
appreciate
championship.
what you did. You're not going to win here. Go get a chance. You have maybe 2 more years left. He's 29. He's got maybe 2 years left as a corner. Go. We're going to send you the Bills. We're going to send you a contending team. Go win a Super Bowl, and then come back and be loved by Green Bay. Tell me that's the wrong thing to do. It's not. It's the right thing to do in the right situation. They had to do
it. I understand the move. Like I get it. I get the logic of it. I understand the football side of it. But I personally think the Packers they bypass on too many opportunities. That's 2
different. You're talking about 2 different like venues. Like what you're saying is what we were dealing. Yeah, what you're saying, what I think what you're trying to say, what you're angry about is what we dealt with Rodgers for years, right? What they're doing right now, they have a clear model right now. It's go young and try to build this, right? Yes. I don't think that's the wrong choice right now.
No, I don't think I'm fine
to go
going young.
With Rasul, you paid him, and now
yeah, they're going young. I get it to a degree, but I think maybe it's a greater point, not just specific to Rasul, that the draft pick part of it is that it holds them back from sometimes either going up and getting somebody or completing a trade. Or the Bills basically just talked us into it. We weren't even. He admitted he wasn't trying to trade him. They called him and said, "Hey, what can we do?" And he's like, okay, "I don't know. I guess the 3rd rounder." So I don't know. I mean, I'm just like, do I want to have a?
in your
It's kinda
fantasy
crazy when you
team,
think
Matt,
about
if
it.
someone offers you a trade that you're like, well, I wasn't really thinking about getting rid of him, but you just gave me a price I can't really like Fred said, you got a guy from the practice squad
they
that
gave us a 3rd round pick for a 29-year-old cornerback. Two years
Right.
ago, they gave up a 4th round pick for Amari Cooper. Not them, us. Already that I'm just saying,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy when you think about. I mean, I get it. I love Rasul Douglas. 2 years ago, we picked him up with the practice
Same.
squad. I thought it was goofy. Ended up being one of my favorite players. I think he's got an absolute heart.
absolutely
But
100%.
the truth of the matter is he's 29. This is a young team. We didn't deal
We
him
might
to.
package that 3rd round pick now.
Well, right,
Hey,
we
we're lucky.
did-
I love Valentine because if we didn't have Valentine, I'd be really
Whoa.
hate this.
Whose
I'd
guy
really
is
hate the
that?
trade.
Who's that guy? That's my guy.
But we,
My guy.
al- but we
Yeah, in the
also
preseason.
we're also not. We didn't trade him into a purgatory team, right? We traded him to an opportunity. He can go win, let him get his thing, and we do it, right?
I'm just honestly, and you have to pay Chase Young.
Well,
So
Chase
that's
Young
another
went
thing,
for a
too.
3rd because it's a rental. It's a rental.
Right. Well, I mean,
If he
that's what I'm
was
saying.
a-
They're gonna have to
Yeah.
pay for him, obviously,
Yeah.
but
They can't.
you know,
They can't.
they can. I mean, they have to
They're-
determine.
no, the
well, they have to
Niners
determine
cap
who
is
they're
going
gonna
to
pay.
explode.
No
they
way.
have a-
They got Trent Williams. They got Bosa.
No,
they got
They do have a
Debo.
pretty big cap.
They
though.
got
do have a
Debo.
big
They got
cap.
Ayuk. They got they're trouble.
Fred Warner.
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
all
they're
right,
fine.
right?
He's all right.
Yeah, he's
yeah.
But anyway, I mean, I was just when I found that out, I was initially, I was super pissed. And then I just started thinking about it. And like you said, Sanjay, you nailed it. I mean, this is the direction that we're going. It's going to be bumpy. It's going to hurt, right? But this might end up being insane for the next couple years. Let's just say
caveat to
Jordan
point-
Love gets progressive, and we have this young offensive line, young defense, young receivers. There's a shot that we could be a powerhouse for a couple years
right.
and be
If
under
they all
cap.
they have to all
If
obviously
they all-
pan out.
Absolutely.
But
they don't even
next
all
year,
have to pan out.
I
They
remember
just
someone
gotta-
early in the chat was like asking if we had cap space. We don't in 2024.
25
2025
was shitload.
25 is the year that we will be like a Bears 56 some million or 68. I don't remember what it is, but once you got Bach off the deal, now you just got Rasul off your books for next year. I think in those 2 years, depending on what you do, this is why the Jordan Love era has to be figured out in 8-9 games. And then potentially if you need to bring in competition for him and actually spice things up, I'm fine with it. You got draft capital. You just got a 2nd round pick from the Jets. If you want to go and get another quarterback, go ahead. I don't care if it's Drake May or, whatever his name is from
what about now hear me out.
dude from LSU. What's up?
What if they traded for a guy like Kirk Cousins?
They just said they were not going to. They're going to re-sign him though.
I know. I'm just saying though. Like, would
saying a
that be the
veteran?
smarter? Is that the smarter move to grab somebody who would make sense in the system, in our world, in our life, versus like let's just risk it again on another rookie? Now, I will say this: getting another rookie who could potentially be great,
They're not
and
sitting
let
for 3
him
years.
like because in let's say like in a year or two, right? Let's say we don't sign Love to a long contract. Let's just say in a year, we let Love play out this year. We have him again next year. He's not quite there, but now everybody else has progressed. We bring in a rookie guy. We have a super young, exciting team. Is that potentially an option?
It could be, but let me ask you guys this. If they draft and they go the young QB route and they want another rookie, do you believe we have the right coaching staff here to develop that guy?
No, that's a good call.
I think we have
Because I'm not sure we do.
I don't
We
know.
don't.
I'm like torn on Matt LaFleur. I do think there's it's like 70-30. And that 30 is so tempting because I think this scheme works. It obviously does. Clearly you can see it in the league.
I think I would love him a lot more if he let someone else call plays and he just was the head coach.
Is he even a good head coach?
I think he's
the guy
more.
can't
I
even
think
get
he's
his
a better
juice
head
ready
coach. Than,
or his team juiced up to go play
I think
games.
he's a better head coach than he is a play caller.
Does he make better adjustments? I feel like we don't make adjustments well in this team.
Maybe.
I don't. But okay, I'm
Move
more
something.
worried about the staff. Forget him. Does he have the right staff below him? Because I don't think he knows how to
No.
pick coaches correctly. That's
No.
what I think is the.
Well, that's a
Yeah,
fair
that's a good
critique of him. He's had to move
Yeah.
on and promote
So
different guys.
fine.
and
Okay,
it worked out.
so are we all on board on saying Matt LaFleur is not the guy? You
That's
just
so
saw all
hard
those
to say.
cons
So-
and pros.
I'm
Put your
feeling-
pros and cons. What's your pros?
No,
Can
I-
we just talk about his pros? What are his pros?
Great looking dude.
Well,
Great
it
eyebrows.
sounds like he's a grinder. He's very smart. He understands trends, but I
Okay.
think maybe what they need to do is
That's
I
a
don't know,
pro. Play calling,
yeah,
scheme.
Yeah, but I
scheme.
feel like his okay, but I would say
Player,
his
respect.
his trends were where they needed to be 2 years ago. I don't think his trends are where they need to be right now.
Well, and that's- if you listen
1000%
to-
there's a better
if you listen
replacement.
to
1000%. His name
Kurt
is
Benkert.
Ben Johnson.
Well, Kurt Benkert said the same thing. He said the LaFleur offense
No,
is already outdated.
no.
What they're doing
That's what I'm
is yeah.
100% there's
That's
plenty
my
of
biggest thing is I feel like his offense is now he's able to run it, but it's like, oh, you're 2 years late. Like that's my
Yeah,
biggest
and I
problem.
gotta
But I
adapt
do think,
more.
and I've said this for a long time. I do think that a younger, more exotic, and everyone makes fun of me because I say the word exotic, defensive coordinator would be more exciting. I think a younger, kind of crazy offensive coordinator would be more exciting, and then let LaFleur just kind of coach. But regardless of that, I mean, I do think that this team has a lot of talent, and I think in a year or two, if it's coached right, regardless of wins or losses, this could be a very good team.
Well, when we talked preseason, we all said, although we kind of bought into maybe this team being a little bit better this year than they obviously are, but we all kind of thought this is a setup year for 2024. Like what they're doing this year, trying to figure out who's going to ride with them and who's not, trying to figure out if Jordan Love's the guy, if that new cast of receivers is going to be it. And so I still believe that. I still believe that this
I
year,
think the roster,
you know,
yes.
yes.
The number one question is Jordan Love.
I think
next
Jordan Love's
year
the
is the more
biggest
important
question
year.
mark.
Yeah.
Well, it is, but next year will be not matter if Jordan Love doesn't develop. It doesn't, you know, it won't. It will be this year again. But I just, yeah, I feel like that's, we keep saying it, but these 10 games, man, are going to mean everything to figuring out what they're going to need
Right.
because they're going to add some guys in the offseason, probably some veterans to the group.
Well,
I don't know how many, but somebody they gotta.
is Jordan Love okay? Are there certain people that are just meant to be a backup, and there's certain coaches that are meant to be coordinators? Because that
Probably.
to me is
Well-
is LaFleur a coordinator dressed up like a head coach?
He wasn't a very good one in Tennessee.
He
so
wasn't
I
even
don't
good. Yeah.
So I always wondered, well, what
Right.
the Packers have usually just gone like the offensive minded head coach route. What if they went the defensive minded
No,
guy? And
I'm
then you
out on
bring
that.
in and you bring
Out.
in the OC. No, you'd rather have like a Ben Johnson.
Look at
and
your
like
last
more
like
a,
9 Super Bowls. Look at your last 8 Super Bowls. Who's been at the helm? A offensive minded coach.
someone from the Shanahan tree.
Basically.
Zach Taylor, Shanahan.
No, it's not
Andy
8
Reid.
Super Bowls. I think it's like 5. I think
Randy
it's like
Reid,
5
yeah.
Super
Andy
Bowls.
Reid
I
and-
mean, huh?
Well, Andy
I would Joe will
Reid,
figure it out.
Sirianni,
You got
Sean
Sean McVay.
Sean McVay, Shanahan's.
Yep.
Ooh, Todd Bowles. Well, no, wasn't Todd Bowles. It was
Todd Bowles.
what's his nuts? Heart attack. guy.
Arians.
Bruce Arians. He's an offensive minded
Jeez, man.
coach.
That's some
Heart attack guy. You know the guy. The heart attack.
But if you, yeah, I was gonna be like Urban Meyer.
Oh,
But you look at like the 10 years prior to that. I
Doug
mean, it was all
Peterson,
defense
offensive
with
guy.
Belichick. Yeah, I
It
mean,
wasn't
I
Nick
get
Sirianni.
it.
Oh yeah, Nick Sirianni went to the Super Bowl. But yeah, you even look at Bengals.
That's
I
what I
mean,
was
that
saying,
guy's an offensive guy. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I just feel like I'm not completely against the defensive minded coach. I just feel
No.
like there's the game is against the defense in the first place. This game doesn't like applaud the defense and being able to figure out how to shut you down to 20 points a game. Like this is it is so hard. Gone are the days you see someone zip for 0 points. I mean, I think we just saw 3 points just against the Giants, but they had a loss of a quarterback, right? So I just feel like defenses are just not set up to succeed in the NFL. They're just going to keep calling pass interference. They're going to call defensive holding.
But that's why the Packers
roughing the
offense is a
passer.
travesty this year. It's never been easier.
I know,
It's never been
I know.
easier to do anything on offense. They can't do anything.
And again, I mean, outside of maybe the Jets guy, Robert Saleh, like I don't know if there's actually truly a unstoppable defense. I know 49ers, will claim it, but they just lost 3
Yeah,
straight. So
But I mean, there's a decent amount of actual defensive-minded coaches out there too, though. I mean, it's there. I don't know if it's
yeah,
I don't know if
there
it's
are.
ultimately successful going into
D'Amico
the
Ryans,
Super Bowl,
Robert
but
Saleh.
D'Amico Ryans, Pierce
Bills
now
guy.
with the Raiders. I mean, there's definitely
Yeah,
there,
but
but
it's just so
I
hard.
think
Like the Bills are a defensive team, and they're still getting blitzed. Like they just got
right.
29 or 28 hung on them.
Well, the
by
Bills
the
are
Bengals.
such a weird conundrum of a team because
I,
that team
I
should be
know.
just
They're
absolutely
coming
murdering people.
down.
But
They
even
went and got 2 corners, and they still
Kansas
lost.
City's going through a little bit of a slump right now too, where they're not playing at their level. I don't think, but
But
this
it's
is
like a
this
team they're
is
not
normal
worried
football,
about,
right?
though, right?
But yeah, but that's normal football. Like the same thing with the Bills. Like the Bills are going to figure it out. Cold weather's going to come. They're going to get better.
Did you know
Kansas
they're
City
ninth
better.
in the AFC?
Yeah, they'll get better. I'm not worried about
That's
it. But anyway,
crazy.
let's
Yeah,
we
but
got
then we're
50
dog
minutes.
crap for last.
Let's get
Yeah.
Pittsburgh in here real quick.
Hey, Pittsburgh. All right, so we're on the road in Pittsburgh. It's been since the 80s since we've won in Pittsburgh. So which is kind of shocking. I know like Rodgers was like injured for like 1 or 2 of the games, but
Was it the 80s? I thought it was longer than that.
I don't know, maybe fine 70s. I don't know what Aaron Nagler tweeted it out. There was like a picture, and then he sent.
Well,
like,
he
that
showed
was
a
the last
picture,
team
and
that
there
beat-
Nitschke and Bart Starr were on there, so it was late 60s. My grandpa wasn't on
No.
it. Yeah,
Oh,
it might have
what?
been. It might have been early 70s because I think Nitschke and Bart played.
There we go.
late
Iowa Joe,
1970.
always there to
early
help.
70s.
Oh,
1970. Thank you.
that's
I-
bad. That's dog shit. I'll tell you right now.
That's
Terry
really
Bradshaw was
bad.
a rookie, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Jeez.
Yikes. All right.
But
So
anyway.
if you're a better, if you want some bets out there, Pittsburgh plus 3.5 right now, folks. Take it. Just take it because, or just
How are
take
they
the
only-
under. 38 points. Take the under on the Packers Steelers because we don't know how to score more than 20 points. I think this is our offense that we have, and I think it was great to finally see Aaron Jones be used. Hey, shout out to Aaron Jones finally getting like 20 some touches or whatever it was. That's
Yep,
great. to see.
24.
24.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Also, big
No.
props to him to picking up Wicks on that fumble too. That was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that was really nice. I mean,
I mean, he
that's
should
why
because
this
he
guy,
fumbles more than anyone on the team. But whatever.
this guy almost. I don't care if he's garbage in like a year or two. Like it's like I just need him to be. He might be a great coach. I hope he goes into be coaching because Aaron
You will
Jones
be a
might be.
fantastic coach.
Yeah, I think this guy will
100%.
be a leader of men, and he will raise the level and effort out of guys. I think he'll be great.
Maybe he comes on as our OC.
Okay. The only thing he'll say is get the running back the ball.
Yeah, he'll just be like run it every time.
Defensively, I don't know. Against Kenny Pickett, I'm not really scared of Kenny Pickett, but I am scared of Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. Like they're
Are
good.
you?
Like they're good. No, I am. I mean, this was a good
Pickens
game for
maybe.
Carrington Valentine. I like it. It was a good test. You had, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Tyler Higbee. You had good talent on the offense of the Rams. And, Ja being fully healthy was a huge plus, right? I think
Yeah.
we're loving
Played
the
well.
fact that he will, he played really well. He got the game ball, which is awesome. So this is a good test again. Pretty good receivers, but the biggest thing is, can this offensive line stop TJ Watt? That is the biggest
Nope.
thing because Casey Hayward, Cameron Hayward, whatever his name is, Cameron Hayward, yeah, not Casey Hayward. He'll be in the front as well. So I could, if you're looking for a prop, maybe pick any of those guys to have a sack because they probably will have one. Let's just be honest. So that will probably be the determining point of like if we're going to win this game is if we can win on the line of scrimmage, right? I mean,
Well, I think TJ Watt will absolutely destroy us. I think he will have at least 2 sacks.
that's
I'm not
it?
kidding. I'm dead serious.
He might
Yeah,
have
he-
5.
he-
10, Bill had
Who's
10, like
that?
10
You're like,
pressures.
That's what I'm saying. At least 2. It's going to be probably a 3+ sack game, which is remarkable on any level. I'm
This is very
terrified
true,
of.
though.
I'm very that's
What the
that's a
world is
great
waiting
call-out.
for.
yeah. I would say that's numero uno for my thought list or my watch list. Number 2 is Mike Tomlin will absolutely outcoach Matt
100%.
LaFleur. So that's
100%.
another big issue. But I do think ultimately talent wise, like if you maybe take out TJ Watt, I don't think our team is less talented than Pittsburgh. I think our team is actually
They just have their shit
probably
together.
in the full, probably more talented. And I think our team's been that way for a lot of games. It's just a matter of stop fucking around and making stupid penalties, play the game right, do your assignments, catch the ball, don't fumble, don't jump off sides, none of that stuff. And I do, because I honestly like, that's why when we watch these games and we lose them, I know there's like we're gonna lose these games, and I get that, but like we're never getting demolished just by
No.
pure athleticism or pure skill. It's either we're shooting ourselves in the foot and then we follow it up with like, oh man, we just did that. That was stupid. We gave up a first down on 3rd and 2 because we jumped off sides. And then the team takes advantage and scores a touchdown immediately the next play. So like, I just think if we can play a solid, sound game with minimal penalties, we can absolutely beat Pittsburgh. Absolutely beat
I
them.
think
The problem
that's
is
a tall
being in
ask.
Pittsburgh. It's a huge task, which is
the
so
penalty part.
stupid. It's so stupid. It shouldn't be that way, but I just fear that being in Pittsburgh
Well,
against Tomlin and you know Watt's going to do what Watt wants to do because it's Green Bay, it's Wisconsin. We passed up on him for Kevin King. He's going to make sure we remember that. Even if he doesn't do that on purpose, he's just going to do it. And so that's where I fear, like, holy crap, this could be a blowout being that it's in Pittsburgh.
well, and hopefully the NFL referees aren't trying to like emphasize
Yeah,
something this
love
week
that.
because
Yeah.
that was stupid. Like, can we just be honest?
Yeah.
That was stupid last week, and it probably cost us more points. But anyway, yeah, I agree, Fred, with everything you just said. I'm like, if a disciplined Packer team goes in there and plays mistake-free
Disciplined
for the
Packer.
most part, which is an oxymoron because they're not disciplined. If they go in there and they can play
The most
sound
undisciplined
foot-
team ever.
yeah, they're too
Josiah
sloppy
being the
right
leading
now.
candidate on
And I think we all kind of more or less said it. I didn't really see much from this last game to make me think anything otherwise about the team right now. I still think that the defense is decent enough, and offensively, it's a struggle. So coaching, we talked about, it's a big emphasis. I've always liked Mike Tomlin. I respect the shit out of him. I think he'll have a good game plan. He'll have them ready. What I'm curious about though is that the Steelers are a weird team. They have all these strange things about them. Like they're being outscored. They have a negative point. They're like the Vikings last year where they're winning all these games that they probably shouldn't. And a lot of it's because they've had a lot of success in the fourth quarter. So if Green Bay and the Steelers are in a tight game, I want to see how we show up defensively, because Kenny Pickett's his quarterback rating shoots up like 100 something in like the fourth quarter, where it's like down in the 70s the other three. So whatever they're doing to close games out is really working. So do we have a counter for that? Can the defense force a couple turnovers this week? I mean, we haven't seen a whole lot of that this year. We've been coughing the ball up though. We can stop fumbling the ball. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll put some little extra momentum. Sometimes just getting a win, no matter how it looked, just can propel you onto something else. So we'll see. I'm optimistic, but I'm like with Fred. I'm just thinking, I don't see it this week.
Start
Give
us
me
off,
tough.
Matthew.
Give me tough, man. Give me tough.
Start us off.
Yeah.
All right. We did score.
In the first half,
In the half, we didn't
Yeah!
in the first half. So I
I heard the
high-fiving. That was
crowd
great.
literally cheer because we got a first down, and that was
Oh yeah, I could hear the crowd cheering too from my TV set. Like, what is
Yeah,
that?
that was
my
pretty
God.
Oh,
depressing.
that's embarrassing.
Anyway, sorry.
The homer in me.
Yeah,
The homer
here
in
we
me just
go.
never wants to pick against the Packers, right? I
Go ahead.
I don't want to
Go
take
good.
the spotlight from Sanjay.
Right.
He's
I'm
so much
pretty
better
sure
at
it's
that.
the realistic one under my
Exactly.
head.
I want to take it thunder. I want to take it thunder. I
Go
want to
ahead.
be.
Go ahead. Packers 35-10.
Oh God, no! Oh God, no! I'm gonna go Packers. I'm gonna say 20-17. 20-17.
Folks, we have gotten rid of our 30 burger.
Anders
gift.
Anders knocks one in.
We don't carry that anymore because it's just not
No.
possible.
No,
I just was looking on the screen at the 40 burger, being like, remember when I used to push?
didn't
that
Sanjay predict it? Didn't he predict a 40 burger this year?
Yeah, probably against us?
Against
remember
the
that.
Raiders. I think I
Yeah.
did against the Raiders, and then
Yeah.
I'm at that game, and I was just
Yeah,
like
you were-
booed
you
out
were.
of the stadium.
Yeah.
Go back home. That's all I heard. That's all I freaking heard.
Oh, I wish I was there for that.
I don't. No,
All
I
right,
don't
so
wish
all the things I
Not
said.
bad.
I mean, being in Pittsburgh, we haven't won in Pittsburgh in a long time, very long time. I think Tomlin is a better coach in the long term. TJ Watt is going to be a nuisance. However, I do think that our team is more talented.
Yeah.
I do think that Aaron Jones has a game. I also think that we see a little bit of progression, because I have to hope that, right? If I
Yeah.
don't hope
We
that,
need-
then
we
I'm
wanna
gonna just
see that.
basically I'm going to throw in the towel, and I'm going to be really upset, and I can't do that. So I do think we see progression. I don't think it's a massive, oh my gosh, here we are. but I'm going to say we win 28-17. It's a decent score. It's not too bad. I'll
28?
take that. Well,
If
here's
we
the thing.
score 4 touchdowns, Fred, I'll run around my house.
I would
cheering.
too.
I
will
hope
do
it
it.
happens.
I will do
hope
it as
happens.
Facebook Live. I will.
Yes, please.
Okay, well, it's
Flip it.
here. You all
on
heard
the
it.
on the
Do it.
Sweep Studios account, which we would love for you guys to follow on the
Oh, there
Facebook
you go.
account. I
Nice
would
plug.
do it right there.
Yes, if we
so you're
score 4
picking up what-
touchdowns, Sanjay is going to run around his house.
Guys,
Shrieking.
multiple times.
we haven't hit the over in like 6 weeks since week 1.
Coming,
Actually,
baby.
week
This is it.
1.
This is it.
So
No
I'm just
time
it.
at the present, Sanjay.
hey, there's a safer bet. Go to a night of casino and bet the under.
You'll be
38
there
points.
at Saturday doing it.
I said I would never
Absolutely.
pick this team to win again until we won. And of course, we played against
So?
Brett Rippin. So
There you go, baby.
you
Hey,
know,
his dad was a hell of a quarterback.
yeah, whoa, his dad, right? So, I'm in like a dilemma here because it's like, yeah, do I go against my word here? Because it's like I said, literally on live television, that I was not gonna pick us to win unless we won. There is a part of me that does think that we can win this game because, like, I
Yeah.
do believe that this roster can win games. We all said it in week 1, like we knew it was possible. Can they just put it together? Like in a game of 4 quarters, that's the problem. Can you figure out how to not play football in the second, or sorry, how to start to play football in the second half?
Well,
why
to
can't
be
you do
fair,
that in
we
the
haven't
first
played
half?
we haven't played a full 4 quarters in like 5 years. So
Probably not exactly. So I do think we have a weapon in Anders Carlson, even though he did miss this week. I will say there was some wind going to the left, so maybe that was why he missed it to the
That's what I'm
left.
saying.
But the guy's been perfect other than that moment. But do I see the biggest thing is I think the thing that determines this win or loss is TJ Watt. Where am I leaning based on TJ Watt destroying this team? Because that guy is going to have like 5 sacks. I think he's going to have a
Yeah.
career high
Hey, they
sack.
put Yash in finally.
Okay, put Yash and Rasheed Walker next to each other
Yeah.
because they need that extra protection. I don't know. There's never mind. I just I think based on that, I'm going with the loss. I really am. I
Wow.
think we lose this game.
all
It's going to be
that
a
for
very
that. What the hell, man?
Jesus.
17-3.
Trying to butter us up.
I think we lose the game.
3 points?
You're an idiot.
At least tell me that we can score
I think
more
it's
than
I think it's one thing to pick a loss. I can respect that. But when you pick us to lose,
Sure.
we're going to lose 21-0. It's just like we just don't even show up.
You know what? Okay, so
Can
first
you
of
please
all,
go ahead.
this is recorded and it's always going to be recorded. Your son is going to literally watch this someday
Yeah.
and be like,
And
my
he's
dad
gonna
was
realize that I was
B-word.
smart.
no. He's going to be like, my dad was such a poser.
What?
He was not a real friend.
What makes you think this team was going to just
What, that
waltz
you're-
into Pittsburgh, a good defense, and say, I'm going to throw up 28 points? I'm
Faith.
sorry. That's
Faith
just
in my
not
team
going to
'cause
happen.
I love my team. I will
Okay,
say this
yeah,
because we got to
okay,
get
sure.
going.
I love my team too, but I also know when to pick something.
Clearly you don't because you bet on them and you literally choose them to lose every week.
Bet against them.
I will say that. Oh yeah, bet against them, not on them. I will say this before we got to go. I am officially resigning from the Josiah DeGuara bandwagon.
Oh!
Oh my God.
Yeah!
funeral?
Cut
When's the
his
funeral?
ass! Cut his!
It's like literally,
gotta
it's like
stand
having
up,
a kid.
fine.
It's like having a kid who's just a piece of crap, like drug addict,
Whoa.
turd nugging kid. You can't
Just
handle
leave
it.
a kid?
You gotta cut the cord. You gotta cut
Yep,
your
gotta
losses
know.
sometimes.
Ethan, if this is not a threat to never do drugs, I don't know what it is, because this is
No,
right.
Ethan's a
where-
good kid. He won't. Ethan's a good kid. It's Charlie. We gotta
I
All
watch.
right,
applaud you,
good.
Fred, for holding out. Good
I-
job.
Hey, you know what? Welcome to
tried,
the
man.
club. Maybe Matt
Listen,
will join the
I
club
s-
of never wanting a receiver in the first round. Maybe he'll
I
jump off
kept
that.
seeing. I
but-
kept seeing the clip of him in motion trying to block the end, where he
He
just literally
sucks.
runs into our own guy and fall.
He
And I'm like,
actually
okay,
sucks.
he is-
You're like, okay, that's it. That's a straw that brought the camel's back.
I
I'm
wanted
done.
to like him. I wanted to think he was a part of this offense, but I ain't really seeing it.
He's not. He's really not. What? He's
Well,
a
I said he
wasted
was going to
roster
break
spot.
out and be huge this year, so we all sort of whiffed on him.
No,
Maybe that's Sanjay.
not we
Sanjay.
all. Thank you. Just you two.
All right.
Yeah.
cut
Hey,
it.
with that being said, thank you guys so much. We want to thank you guys deep from our hearts because it's always awesome to see a lot of you in the chat. It's really, again, we love
Yeah,
doing
big
this
shout out.
and we love doing it for you guys. And keep telling people about us. Honestly, it's a fun group right here. And you guys are the Freezer faithful, so thank you so much. Check us out again next week at 8 p.m. Hopefully, we'll be talking about the loss because that's what I'm just kidding.
No, hopefully not.
We get a victory.
Yes.
What do we want? Do we want to tank or do we want to win? It's still in
You want to
question.
lose, you can make money.
I do.
Yeah, you
Maybe
That's
we'll be on
okay.
Victory Tuesday again. Maybe we won't. But that's Fred. That's Matt. Until next time, folks, always remember, go, pack,
pack.
go!
Go.